Good morning, all my gardening friends. This morning I am going to be working on the bed. Sorry, I'm standing up in it, so it's kind of hard to tell, but if you recall, at the rental house there's a big tree by the fire pit, and it's raised up about 3 or 4 feet, surrounded by a little stone wall, and just lots of weeds and everything in here. And I said that this was one area that I wanted to work on. So I'm just getting you a little before footage here. Let me see if I can get a better angle by going from the neighbor's yard. Hope they don't mind. Anyway, so here's the tree. As you can see, it's surrounded by this stone wall and just completely overgrown with weeds and stuff. There's very old weed barrier here that I'm working on pulling back, and as I go I'm just kind of like shoveling down to soften up this soil that's hard packed a little bit, and I'm pulling out the weeds and stuff. And then I want to go in behind this and plant it with some native plants that I grew from seed over there. So I've got to figure out what will do well in this area, because I can water it while I'm here for the next 4 or 5 months or whatever, but once we leave in October, this area is going to be on its own, and I can't trust that the next person will be staying on top of watering it. Now, hopefully, if it's pretty, they won't cut it all down, but again, that's kind of out of my control. I'm going to ask this landlord about, like I had mentioned in a previous video, I thought, what if, because what he had been doing before I moved in was he just had somebody come and spray, and I don't know how often they sprayed, but they would basically just spray anything that was tall, including any like flowers and weeds and stuff that were growing along the side, along the fences, and I think periodically they would just have somebody chop stuff down just to keep it low and manageable. But what I want to ask him is, instead of whatever he's spending on that annually, would he be willing with this one property to experiment, I should say, letting me try to maintain the property for the same cost as what he was paying someone else to spray poison on it? And if I can keep it looking attractive, there's an opportunity maybe to convince him to let me start doing that to more properties, because he has like 90 properties all over Omaha and the surrounding area. So if I could make a big impact in spreading the native plants and cutting down on, weed killer and stuff like that, insecticides, that would be fantastic. So that's kind of my goal, is like prettying up this property enough to convince him that, just a little bit of work at each of the properties, and then just some annual maintenance of perennials. Like, they just need to be cut back once a year, basically. Native plants will take care of themselves. If they're planted in the right spot, they're not going to need tending. They're not going to need extra watering once established, and they shouldn't need any kind of insecticide or anything like that. They're meant to grow in this area, and they should be able to kind of fend for themselves. So, like I said, with just that one annual cutback in like late winter, early spring, to get the dead stuff down to the almost down to the ground, so that the healthy can grow back up. Like, that's the only maintenance it should really need. So that's my goal here, and I guess that's it. So let me pause now, work on this bed, and then I will come back after. Okay guys, well, this is like a midway through update on this bed. I got probably 90% of the weeds out. I pulled up all of the broken down fabric landscaping barrier, whatever you call it, that I could find. There is some still behind this tree over here, and I still need to finish getting weeded around that area and between the rocks and the tree there. But just to kind of let you know what I did so far, these plants were smooth blue aster that I grew from seed. I hope that they make it. They don't look super great, but they were in a jug, and then I planted them and watered them, and they just kind of wilted right away. So I'm hoping once they get dried and settle in a little bit, they'll perk back up. I've got some ferns that I planted over there. This plant right here, I'll probably end up pulling it out, but I asked my plant group what it is because I don't know what it is. It's got like super spiky stem. I'll try to show you. And I just want to see if it's something that I should leave before I pull it out, but more than likely it's coming out. Anyway, I planted some more ferns over here around these iris. When I pulled up that fabric, a lot of the iris came up with it, so I'm planning to replant that iris, but I don't know if I'm going to replant it in this bed. I might. I'm just still kind of figuring out what I want to do with this bed. I put in this clearance hosta that I got, and then over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4. These were those pink and purple asters that I had at my garden last year. I had separated them, divided them into 3 clumps each, and then both of them, I lost one of the clumps from each, so then I was down to 2 clumps again, and I really wanted to have 3 of each. But anyway, so it'll either be pink next to pink or purple next to purple. I'm not sure which is which. But those were cute, kind of short asters. I think they'll look nice on the front of this bed. And then again, I'm still working on that back section over there. I've got some more weeds to pull and a little bit more landscape fabric to get out. But right now I need to take a break from here, go to my other house because I need to mow at the other house. I'm off today and tomorrow, and it's supposed to start raining tonight and then probably storm most of the day tomorrow. So I'm not gonna have a 100% chance of getting the lawn mowed tomorrow, and I really need to stay on top of that since the landscaping company and my mortgage company are screwing me over with charging me for unnecessary services, even though I'm doing my own lawn care and everything. So I'm gonna get over there, get that taken care of. I'm also gonna water those daisies and those other plants that I planted because it is getting pretty hot, and it's been multiple days since we've had any kind of significant rain. So I'm glad it is going to start raining tonight and tomorrow, but I just feel like I better go get that lawn cut and check on those plants. I'm sure they're probably looking pretty sad. We're getting up to like 90 today, and I know that they were already getting wilty and not looking great. So hopefully I can take them some water and save them, and then we got more rain coming tonight and tomorrow. So hopefully those daisies will pull through. But you know, if they don't, they ended up costing me like $2 per plant since I divided them and everything. So it's not a huge loss or anything, but it would be a bummer. Okay, so I'm gonna pause again. Oh, another thing I'm gonna do while I'm at the other house is dig up some of the variegated hostas that I have. I've got a ton of green and white hostas at the other house that I want to bring and kind of fill in all of this area here. I'll see if there's anything else that I want to transplant. I was thinking about bringing maybe one of my hydrangeas or 2 hydrangeas and putting them in this corner right here because I think they would look really nice. And I'm also thinking about like taking out some of this grass and maybe making a little bit of a bed that extends over to those peonies. But we'll see. I don't know if I'm going to get quite that ambitious this year, but I'm definitely going to plant something right here. Even if I don't bring over the hydrangeas, I've got a couple of shrubs that are just kind of sitting in cans waiting, and those could work there too. So I'll come back again later and show you how this project turned out, but bye for now. Oh, and before I forget, I also want to move some of this I don't know, rock sedum or whatever you call it, and some of this geranium to the back area because both of those would do well there, I think, and just help fill in more space. So that's more plants that I'm going to take some little pieces of them and transplant them to the back, and I think that will be a nice addition. Okay, pausing again. Okay, well, I'm over at the house and I still don't really see any progress. I'm gonna have to talk to the builders again. I know we had to redraw up the plans, but that was done like a week ago. So I'm not sure what the delay is at this point, unless they're like, if they have to wait for the city to reapprove the changes that we're having to make. I'm not really sure. But I'm over here, I'm gonna get the lawn mowed, at least where I can. I'm not going to be able to get this area where they've left a bunch of this stuff. Thought I would show you guys how things are looking before I mow the lawn. These butterfly milkweed are really pretty. I'm very happy that I added this to my garden. I know that like later in the season, they don't look as beautiful when they start seeding out and stuff. They can look a bit messy, but I feel like for my meadow garden that I'm trying to do, like mostly native plants and stuff, they are a really great addition. The Zephyr Druin, I mean, I can see that it's getting munched on by deer, but there are still, you know, some blooms on there. They're starting to get older. They were really pretty about a week ago. I probably should have gotten some better close-ups at that point, because now they're all pretty faded or getting old. But it's pretty, it makes me excited for what it's going to look like next year when it's in a protected area and I can really like start training it and have it crawl up and over something. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put it, but I'm excited for the future of that. Other stuff in here, I need to get in here and do weeding. I'm planning to come back tomorrow, but we're supposed to get some rain tonight and possibly most of the day tomorrow, so I don't know how well it's going to work out for me coming back tomorrow. But what I need to do is get in here and make this area look less weedy, because even though I, as the homeowner, am fine with my native plants starting to fill in here, that's what I wanted all along. That just gives an excuse to the property management people to come in here and say that this property is not being maintained and take it upon themselves on behalf of the mortgage company to start cutting things down and charging me for it. So I'm just trying to make everything look as presentable as I possibly can while still keeping it, you know, in line with what I was hoping to accomplish. So anyway, this is the before I mow the lawn look up here. The lawn doesn't actually look bad. It's just getting a bit on the long side. So yeah, I do need to give it a trim. My little Bonica rose is looking cute. This is the one that I got hips off of last fall, and that I was able to get a few seedlings from. So I'm really excited to see, hopefully those seedlings survive, and I'm really excited to see what they look like. Oh my gosh, this is my very first, I think that's Roseanne geranium. This is one of the things that got chopped down last year. I'm gonna have to transplant that. I might even dig that up today before I go. But this is one of the things that got chopped down by the, you know, the builders, and not the builders, the people that were removing the tree and stuff like that. And then probably the person that came over and mowed without my permission. Back here, this is where my bog garden used to be, and you can see that it's starting to kind of grow back, although everything is ruined. All these stones used to be like over here, and they were pushed into the bog garden. So that's just a big disaster. I would like to dig up these stones because they're those, you know, the ones that our terrace walls built of out front. That's the same kind of stone. And I had used it to line this whole bog garden and river thing, which now is going to be obviously not coming back, at least not the same way it was. So, and then this tall grass right here, I think this is Nebraska native. I'm not 100% sure, but it just basically just grows really tall, and that's all it was. It was just a tall grass growing in my bog garden, and I loved it. And I'm glad that that is coming back, but again, it gives them some reason to say that my yard is looking overrun. Now, genuinely, all of this is weeds and stuff, and the man can't come back in here and mow this, and neither can I. So hopefully they just stay off my case about it, because this is a construction zone. And I mean, what do you expect, you know? So it's kind of where that is. I don't know if you guys remember, if anybody remembers, I had a pretty large area over here that was like, I can't even describe it. You'd have to look at my old videos, but it was filled with hens and chicks. I probably had, gosh, if I were to sell those, I could have made a few $100s off of the amount of hens and chicks that I had, and they all have been destroyed as best as I can tell. I don't see any. There would have been kind of like in this area. I can't even see the outline of the little bed that they used to be in, but it was kind of like this little triangular shaped bed. And then I think I also had some over here. I don't know. Wherever they went, they're gone. I'm taking this. I need to sharpen my my trimmers. Okay, so next door neighbor's gonna loan me his mower, and I will just take a quick after shot so I can prove that I mowed the lawn and on what day I mowed the lawn, because in case I need to go to court, it's gonna all be evidence. Look, here's a pretty and pink Eden climbing rose. Doesn't look too bad. That's kind of older. Lamium is blooming. I need to water that. I just planted that clematis, and oh, let me take you down to the bottom because I just brought over water to water my daisies and stuff, and I wish I had remembered that I planted that clematis because it really could have used some water too, and now I'm out. But it is going to rain a lot in the next 24 hours, or so they say. So hopefully that will help. The catmint still looking phenomenal despite, you know, the dryness. The yarrow really starting to come into bloom fully. Oh, the daisies, they just look terrible. These ones especially. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side, and they're all looking bad. Look at this first blooms I've ever had on this cactus. I'm so excited. It's beautiful. Just beautiful. And I've got a bunch of it, so in future years we should get a lot more of these blooms. In the past, whenever I've gotten those little peps on the top, I've separated them off to make more cactuses. But you know, if I don't take them off, I guess I get these beautiful blooms. So I'm super excited about that. Got a little bit of sedum blooming back there. That's pretty. The Stachys humilo lamb's-ear, those are blooming and looking beautiful. Oh, my rose is about to start blooming. Lots of buds there on the, it's like an extremely light yellow. When it opens, it basically looks white, but that's starting to look really good. Over here, the salvias looking pretty good. This pink yarrow, this is my favorite yarrow. It just is so bright. I have another pink at the other house that's not quite as bright. It's like just a little bit softer of a pink, and it's pretty, but I definitely favor this hot pink color. And then another beautiful cactus bloom. We do have a couple of blooms on these daisies. This bunch looking a little bit better than the others, but still, like 4 out of 6 are not looking good at all. But again, I only paid like $2 a piece for these plants since they were on clearance, and then I divided them. So you know, it's not the end of the world if I end up losing some. There's another rose blooming. That is the same as the other one down there that I have. Same type. I don't know what the name of it is though. So Veronicas are starting to send up their bloom stalks, so that's exciting. What else? Looks like that's pretty much it for blooms. Just the catmint and the dianthus annual. The salvias up there starting to look kind of faded. So I had cut back the purple salvias that are on that second row. So those should be working on rebedding up and setting up new stalks soon. Another thing that really needs watering is the pink Gara that I planted, those 5 little pink Garas. They're looking pretty rough. I didn't bring extra water over for them, unfortunately, but again, it's supposed to rain for like, once it starts raining tonight, I think it's supposed to rain for like 12 or 24 hours or something like that. So I am just fingers crossed that we get enough rain in like the next week to really help this stuff settle in. That is still not, you know, established. Okay, I'm gonna pause. I will just do a brief after once I mow the lawn. Okay, I mowed the lawn. I tried to mow around the stuff that they have left in my yard just to keep it looking less overgrown. And now I have to run to pick up my daughter and get back to my other house. But let me just show you the rest of this area. That has been mown. All around there and all through there. The lawn is mowed. Okay, that's it for this house. Talk to you guys later. Okay guys, I'm back at my rental house and I'm just watering in. I moved a bunch of my hostas over here from the other house. I just thought the white, green and white variegated hostas would look good up here and help me fill in this space. I know they're not native, obviously, but still I just feel like it looks good in here and helps to fill up the space so that there's less room for weeds. By the way, I found out that there was some tall plants that were over here earlier. You may have seen them on film. They were poisonous hemlock, which is extremely dangerous. Luckily, I was wearing gloves when I took them out. But I did like touch them when I was taking pictures of them for my plant group. And people are kind of freaking out. So I like washed my hands and took a shower and stuff. But hopefully I don't feel like I'm poisoned or anything, but you know, it's just a little concerning the way people were reacting on my plant group. They were like, do not touch that. Oh my God, you're touching it in the picture and stuff like that, you know. But pretty sure I'll be all right. So if you're wondering why I'm trying to water while filming, I'm just ready to be done for the day, and this is the last thing that I needed to get done, and then I wanted to kind of wrap up this video so I can post it tonight. Tomorrow, weather dependent, I do plan to come out and work on this more. I have more plants that I would like to add to this bed, and I still need to get back there. I need to get the weed fabric pulled up and finish weeding out plants over there. And then also here in the front where I'm spraying this water, I'm going to try planting some of those sedums that I have into this stone wall and see if I can get some of those growing in here, because it looks really pretty along my other stone wall and I just like it. So I'm going to see if I can get some of them to start rooting in and spreading and stuff. But yeah, that's what this has ended up like. I have a couple more. So this is a Sum and Substance hosta. I tried to leave space for it because they do get really big. but it'll probably be 2 or 3 years before it gets really big. And I do have a couple more of those at the other house, but I don't think I want to give them up, so I'll just keep this one here that I bought on discount and use the other ones at my other house. If you have any other ideas of what I could add in here that would look good, let me know. So far for native plants, I have 3 or 4 lady ferns. I have the blue asters over there, the smooth blue asters that are, remember the ones I grew from seed, that are looking very flat and wilty. We'll see if they make it. These right here. Oh, and then do you remember earlier I was like, I don't know what that spiky branch plant is, but I didn't want to pull it until I found out. My plant group is telling me that that is gooseberry, and I looked it up online, and there is an American gooseberry and there's like a European gooseberry. Assuming that we're in America, it's probably the American one. I mean, I guess they could have planted a European cultivar there, but I'm thinking it just sprouted up, or a bird dropped it or something. So I'm gonna let that grow and see what that looks like and turns into. Maybe even transplant it to my other house. We'll see. Some other things I plan to transplant to my house. There's a patch of Virginia creeper over there along the fence, and I want to get some of that growing up my walls at the other house. Here's some of it too, I believe. Do you see this straight ahead? Sorry, I can't hold the hose and... Okay, so right there, that like 5-leaf plant, that I believe is Virginia creeper. And they cling to walls, and they are native for us, and they will grow up walls and kind of cover your house, like, you know, they just look really pretty, and then they get the most beautiful fall colors for their foliage. So that's another native that's in this garden. So I'll leave that one over there, but like I said, I do plan, there's a big patch of it over there along that fence, so I do plan to take some of that with me when I move out. Other native plants that I got in here are these 4 aster plants, and again, there's 2 pink and 2 purple. There's definitely space back there for me to add more. I have some blue vervain that I'm thinking about putting in this back corner right here, kind of behind this clump of, I'm assuming these grassy looking plants are some sort of daylily, but I don't know what type yet. I don't know if it's the orange daylily that's invasive or if it's something else. So hopefully we find out soon if they start blooming for us. All right, well, I guess that's it. I just wanted to show you guys kind of the after of how this turned out. I think it's looking pretty good. It's definitely better than the weedy mess that it was before. So I'll start working on that corner over there next. And like I said, I might extend a flower bed along that wall, kind of over to where the peonies are. But we'll see if I get around to that. Actually, what I should work on too is this back border. That is kind of a weedy mess. And then along this side of the yard. Ah, the water's spraying me. This is really pretty. I want to take when these bloom, I'll show you, but they get white flowers, and I kind of want to try to move one of these, but I think they have big tap roots, so I don't know if I'll be successful, but anyway, those are cool. I think they're yucca. Out here, this is the poisonous hemlock. You see it? With the white flowers. Somebody told me that is poisonous hemlock for sure. So I need to, like, this whole field is not part of this property, but do you see where that light pole is? Everything on this side of the light pole is part of this property. So I need to come in here and like somehow get all of this cut down and cleared out. because last summer somebody complained about it to the city, and they like sent somebody out here and told me I had to keep it cut down. And I was like, I'm just a renter and I am not doing all of that. So they looked up the property lines and they said, yeah, that this whole field isn't yours, but everything on this side of the light pole is. So that means that like this terrace right here, and then there's like a walkway that's pretty much covered. I think it's called butterbur. I'm not even 100% sure what is growing down here, but it's got big leaves. And I don't even know. Maybe this is like from vegetable gardens of years past or something, from previous tenants. I'm not really sure what I'm looking at here. If anybody has any ideas, let me know. But yeah, a lot of this is definitely weeds that needs to get taken care of. So I'll start working on this side of the yard next after I'm done with that little tree flower bed. But I'm pretty impressed actually that I was able to get that done in one day. Not to mention I went over to the other house and mowed the lawn. So that is a huge improvement in one day. Pretty darn pleased with myself. Okay guys, this is probably adding up to a long video because I've got multiple short videos that I've done today. So, signing out. Talk to you next time.